Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Thanks for joining me for a very special episode of Stay Free today. You are going to love this. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. You will love it. First of all, we talk about the resignation of Marjorie Taylor Greene and the possibility for heroism and real change. We also look at historic examples of heroism. Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, the Kennedys. It's brilliant. You'll love it. Then we look at Candace Owens, who's a friend of mine, and Tucker Carlson, also a friend of mine, and their public claims about deep state assassinations. We're going to look at that carefully and respectfully. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat. It's really, really good bit of content. You're going to love it. Remember, you can read these essays on Substack if you want to. Help me and support me there if you've got time, money and desire to do so. And finally, we look at the results of this inquiry in my country, the UK, into COVID. And it actually makes me so angry. It's radicalizing me. If I didn't have Christ, I think I would become some kind of terrorist, honestly, because there's only two options now. Either become a sort of a radicalized terrorist against these corrupt systems or become a Christian, which is a kind of radical position now anyway, because it means that you believe in the supernatural, you believe in God, you believe that all of this is sort of ultimately a kind of illusion and that you obey a God that's completely inaccessible to these Luciferian and corrupt powers. I'll also be telling you about how you can win a beautiful Jeep Rubicon 392. You get entries by acquiring this and these amazing products that I use that keep me radical, fit, in tune and in line. Support Reborn and support me on Rumble. If you haven't got Rumble Premium yet, by the way, get Rumble Premium right now. You get more content and it's ad-free. You get a bunch of stuff from Stephen Crowder and Mud Club and Tim Pool and a whole bunch of other popular content creators. Let's get into our first video. We'll only be on YouTube for a while. You know why. Crazy bloody place. And you're going to love this. It gets deep, baby. Check it out. Left, right, fascist, communist, terrorist. In a world where political labels are wielded like weapons, media figures flip-flop between outrage and cordiality, and ideological loyalty often masks hidden alliances. What does it mean to truly step outside the narrative and reclaim autonomy in the holy name? Kamala Harris and Rachel Maddow attending the funeral of Dick Cheney, a man Maddow once denounced as the maestro of terror politics, alongside Zoran Mamdani branding Donald Trump a fascist mere days after a cordial meeting, and months after Trump had labelled him a communist lunatic, signals a disturbing collapse of meaning in political language. Like, why would you go? I heard that it took the Catholic Church 350 years to apologise for calling Galileo Galilei a liar when what he had in fact done is told the truth about astronomy. Well, how long will it take for this system to apologise for the COVID pandemic? Has there been apologies from Dick Cheney? Has he gone, do you know what? There were no weapons of mass destruction. I was on the board at Halliburton. We recognised the Iraq gig was a terrific opportunity, so we went for it. He's not apologised. What does Rachel Maddow really believe? What does Kamala Harris really believe? What do any of them really believe? They believe in the illusion that is necessary for them to believe in to maintain the roles that they play in this system. But you don't have to believe in it anymore. I don't have to believe in it. If you're old enough to remember the vehement damnation that they applied to Dick Cheney, much of it deserved, I can still instantaneously call up that dude in a cowboy hat going, man, now listen, that Trump's a motherfucker. You know, there they all are. There they all are. If ever there was a person that seemed to have made a deal with Mephistopheles, it were Cheney, the architect behind the hated George W. Bush's administration. Well, if all that is up for reconsideration, why would you believe a single thing they're telling you right now? Is Rachel Maddow going to turn up at the funeral of Donald Trump? Who knows? Maybe, because it would have been inconceivable, I'm telling you, equally inconceivable that she would attend Dick Cheney's, and there she is. I'm not condemning Rachel Maddow, nor am I condemning Dick Cheney, nor am I condemning Donald Trump, nor am I condemning anyone, because guess what? I'm not in a position to judge anyone, and neither is anyone else. That's why you need a God. Otherwise, your justice is not based on supreme principle, but the arbitrary churn of human reason when applied to whatever they happen to want that day. It's good that we hate Dick Cheney today. Let's hate Dick Cheney. We don't need to hate Dick Cheney anymore. Let's go to his funeral. It's absolute bollocks. Wake the fuck up. Terms like left, right, Fascist and communist no longer describe ideology. They're weapons of control deployed to manage perception and constrain thought. Even the term terrorist has lost its force. Donald Trump welcomed Syrian leader Ahmed al-Sharaa to the White House just days after he was officially listed as a specially designated global terrorist. They're the worst kind, going so far to gift him a bottle of his cologne and playfully spraying it on the former jihadist with ties to Al-Qaeda.
This is men's fragrance. Hold it. Yeah. This is no. It's the best fragrance. Come here, man.
I have more here, sir.
It's the audacity of Trump, really, that defines him. The fact that in plain sight, he will promote products and baseball cards and stuff like that. I will say this. I've been wrong a lot about almost everything, and wrong a lot about Trump in particular. But the one thing I identified pretty early on is that he was explicitly what other people were implicitly. Probably Dave Chappelle said it better and funnier in his SNL monologue when he said he's doing out in the open what people have always suspected politicians did. My own version of it was almost like a sort of a gargoyle, like here you are now confronted with the reality of it. Now, as you know, if you watch this show a lot, that I find Trump pretty enjoyable in terms of his public persona, his rhetoric, even his sort of manner and way. I feel like I'd find it amusing to spend time with someone that, in particular, the example I always think of is at that UN speech, talking continually about not getting the contract to build that building, or just having the time to be personal at times of such global crisis. I find it kind of recognizable. But in a way, Trump is also the apex. This is as far as you can go down this road, I think, without coming off the edge of the world. That's probably what most of us can agree on, whether we like Trump or not. Let me know what you think about that in the comments and chat. Do you want to support me? No, I don't. Yes, you do. Support me and support Rumble Premium. You won't only be supporting me, you'll get additional access to Mug Club, that's Crowder's gig, Timcast, that's Tim Pool's racket, and Glenn Greenwald's additional content. Join us on Rumble Premium. We make content every single week through Rumble because Rumble support free speech. When I was under attack from the British government and the British media, Rumble stood firm. Yes, of course, there's crazy people on Rumble. There's crazy people everywhere. There's a crazy person living under this hat. That doesn't mean we shouldn't have the right to speak freely together. By supporting Rumble Premium, you're supporting me and content creators like me. You get additional content, and what I will say even more, drink down deep on the delicious irony in this one, you get an ad-free experience. If you want an ad-free experience of Rumble, get Rumble Premium. In the meantime, stay free. We can't make this content without the support of our partners. Here's a message from one now. The public is trained to respond with outrage and loyalty, while the reality behind the labels remains hidden. Shifting with convenience, it seems. George Carlin's warnings about it being a big club that we ain't in feel eerily prophetic. The elite manufacture conflict and choice, funneling society into predictable channels, while the mechanisms of power operate unchecked, obscured, and nearly untouchable. Into this controlled theatre steps Madame Marjorie Taylor Greene. Her resignation from Congress, coupled with an apology for her role in toxic politics, disrupts the expected script. In an era where political actors are rewarded for loyalty to spectacle and ideological signalling, Greene's choice to step aside and acknowledge her complicity is striking, almost unnerving.
You posted on X that President Trump is, with his comments, fueling a, quote, hotbed of threats against you. Obviously, any threats to your safety are completely unacceptable. But we have seen these kinds of attacks or criticism from the president at other people. It's not new. And with respect, I haven't heard you speak out about it until it was directed at you.
Dana, I think that's fair criticism. And I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country. And it's been something I've thought about a lot, especially since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, is that I'm only responsible for myself and my own words and actions. And I am committed, and I've been working on this a lot lately, to put down the knives in politics. I really just want to see people be kind to one another, and we need to figure out a new path forward that is focused on the American people, because as Americans, no matter what side of the aisle we're on, we have far more in common than we have differences. Yeah. And we need to be able to respect each other with our disagreements.
So just to put a button on this, you regret the things that you have said and posted in the past, the Facebook post that was taken down of you in 2020 holding a gun alongside the squad, encouraging people to go on the offense against the socialists, liking a tweet of somebody calling for the execution of Nancy Pelosi and former President Obama. Just examples.
Well, Dana, as you know, and many people know, I addressed that back in 2021. And of course, I never want to cause any harm or anything bad for anyone. So that was addressed back then, and I very much stand by my words I said then, and I stand by my words today. I think America needs to come together and end all the toxic, dangerous rhetoric and divide. And I'm leading the way with my own example, and I hope that President Trump can do the same.
Hey, see, I met her, Marjorie Taylor Greene, a couple of times, and I wonder if you're able to do this. Look at the face of Marjorie Taylor Greene and the face of the Lady Dana, and you can sort of see in Marjorie Taylor Greene the truth of who she is. She's a woman. She's like a real woman, a real earth person. And the Lady Dana, of course, she's a human being as well, but you can see in the kind of slightly more seen pinchedness of her expression that she's still in the constraints. What Marjorie Taylor Greene there has done is thrown off, at least temporarily, and I pray that it has the impact that such action warrants, the shackles and imposition that many people feel when they operate within those spheres. And like when I met Marjorie Taylor Greene, I was at the RNC convention in Milwaukee, and I felt like, oh man, she's cool. And I'd just seen her being attacked by a bunch of people and criticized, and people don't like earthness. The people have become these sort of peculiar parasitic puppets, and they don't like people that have got kind of cojones. Trump's got them, she's got them. I mean, they're perfect, and it certainly doesn't mean the system isn't generating total corruption and mayhem and madness, and in fact can only do that. But, you know, it's cool that she's taken that stand. Please God, it will have a positive impact. Her recent positions challenging US funding of foreign wars, speaking against the devastation in Gaza, pressing for Epstein files while standing alongside alleged victims suggests she is rejecting the performative confines imposed on both left and right. By stepping away from the stage entirely, she hints at something more dangerous to the system than mere dissent. The possibility of autonomy, of moving beyond the constructed narratives that keep the masses obedient. History offers stark parallels. Muhammad Ali sacrificed everything to refuse the Vietnam draft, defying a system prepared to crush him for the sake of conscience. I ain't got no beef with the Viet Cong is a phrase I still think of regularly to remind us that just because you're told something's so, you don't have to accept it.
My conscience won't let me go shoot my brother or some darker people or some poor hungry people in the mud for big powerful America and shoot them for what? They never called me nigger. They never lynched me. They never put no dogs on me. They never robbed me of my nationality, raped and killed my mother and father. What, I'm going to shoot them for what? How can I go shoot them? Them little poor little black people, little babies and children and women. How can I shoot them poor people? Just take me to jail.
Ali more than held his own against students who had a far better formal education than he.
I'm saying you talking about me about some draft, and all of you white boys are breaking your neck to get to Switzerland and Canada and London. I'm not going to help nobody get something my Negroes don't have. If I'm going to die, I'll die now, right here fighting you.
Oh my God! I fucking love him. I love him. That's greatness. That's true greatness. The truly great are mystics in so much as they operate in the present. They operate in the present. Muhammad Ali, as he demonstrated, become a great boxer, but he could have become almost a great anything. I suppose like that other more contemporaneous great athlete, Michael Jordan. You get the idea that guy could have just sort of done anything. And I suppose why it's doubly exciting with Muhammad Ali is he stepped in to the public arena and was willing, I'll die here right now fighting you. What you gonna say? Come on then, let's go. My God.
If I'm gonna die, you my enemy. My enemies are white people, not Viet Congs or Chinese or Japanese. You my opposer when I want freedom. You my opposer when I want justice. You my opposer when I want equality. You won't even stand up for me in America for my religious beliefs, and you want me to go somewhere and fight, but you won't even stand up for me here at home.
In a way, what Muhammad Ali demonstrated there, although it might be difficult and uncomfortable to hear some of the racialized language and a racialized dispute broadcast in that way, was demonstrated the qualities of heroism, which are inseparable from the qualities of Christianity, i.e. willing to die for what you believe in. He did go to jail. He has that confrontation live, present with an opponent, someone criticizing him. He's willing to stand up in front of people he disagrees with and confront them with the truth of who he is. And the truth is that we're all capable of that. You're capable of it. I'm capable of it. And when you see Muhammad Ali doing it, you remember. You're reminded, hold on, we can be glorious. How have I allowed myself to be thresholded and curtailed by the low ceilings of a lowly culture? Malcolm X returned from Mecca transformed, breaking with rigid ideologies that previously defined him.
And this is what I had to become aware of on my pilgrimage to Mecca. I could see then that there are many white people in this country who will side with the Negro in whatever he has to do to protect himself.
But that's a considerable change of opinion in Malcolm X.
No, today I'm speaking for myself. Formerly I spoke for Elijah Muhammad. And everything I said was, Elijah Muhammad teaches us thus and so. I'm speaking now from what I think, from what I have seen, from what I have analyzed, and the conclusions that I have reached.
Then the white man is no longer the devil, and he is no longer bound to be evil?
If I judge a man by his conscious behavior, I am not a racist. I don't subscribe to any of the tenets of racism.
Then there are good whites and good blacks and bad whites and blacks.
It's not a case of being good and bad, good or bad blacks and whites. It's a case of being good or bad human beings.
So when you watch Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X, it's striking that this country has chosen to follow the wrong leaders and to follow the wrong ideas. That we had a chance. We had a chance then to support brilliant people, brilliant men of a variety of hues and shades, whether it was the Kennedys or these men, and to recognize that it's that Malcolm X ain't perfect. We all know that he had a pretty crazy past. Muhammad Ali's not perfect, crazy past. Robert Kennedy and John Kennedy were not perfect men. All of them, actually. It seems like there was some interesting appetites went on with those guys. But what we've replaced greatness with is a kind of mass-marketed mediocrity, a kind of a deliberate, bureaucratized kind of ordinariness. If you kill all the great people, I don't know what you're going to get as a society. Bobby Kennedy, Sr., after the murder of his brother, recalibrated toward a moral clarity that made political calculations secondary.
The whole question of whether we are lowering the barriers with communism, and on one side of the world, and we're signing a proliferation treaty of control of atomic weapons in one part of the world, and in another part of the world, we're killing people because they're communist. It sounds inconsistent, and it is inconsistent. Or the whole question of, for instance, of drugs. We permit meth, cigarettes, which kill far more people every year than marijuana, for instance.
That's right.
And
it's been available. The information is available. Who are the people, systems, and interests that prevent the information from reaching us and being popularized? Let me know in the comments and chat.
And but there is tremendous economic power behind those people, and so that we don't pass laws to deal with that, even though our Department of Health has said that they're so dangerous, kill 350,000 people a year. So there is this great wealth that I talked about, and that there's yet this great poverty. There are speeches made about the fact that we're going to treat everybody equally, and yet we don't treat everybody equally. There's talks given and pronouncements made and laws written that everybody's going to have an opportunity to have a job and have decent housing. And yet 43% of the people that live in the city of New York and live in this city live in dilapidated and rundown housing and are bitten by rats. 17,000 people bitten by rats, and the poverty in rural areas is worse. So if we weren't sanctimonious about it, if we weren't hypocritical about it, and we didn't perhaps tell untruths about ourselves, then I think that, and face up to reality, then I think our country would be much better off, and our people would have much more confidence in those of us who are public officials and in our government as a whole.
These moments share a common thread, the individual breaking free from imposed scripts, refusing to play the role assigned by power structures. Greene's move echoes that dangerous impulse, but in the hyper-mediated, post-ideological terrain of modern politics, such departures are rarer and more destabilizing than ever. The modern moment amplifies the threat of such awakenings. Political labels are no longer merely slippery. They're instruments of conditioning, shaping not just what people think, but how they experience reality. The public consumes outrage as if it were sustenance, reinforcing the system's boundaries while the elite manipulate outcomes with impunity. Greene stepping outside that system is akin to the red pill in the Matrix, a confrontation with the hidden forces of control, a refusal to participate in the illusion, a destabilization of narrative. In a world where obedience is rewarded and insight punished, such departures carry ominous potential. They remind us that the machinery is not only pervasive, it is fragile if challenged from within. The broader implications are chilling. When politicians repeatedly betray ideological consistency, and when the media amplifies conflict while concealing collaboration, society becomes a conditioned population responding to labels and narratives rather than reality itself. Yeah, moments like Greene's resignation expose the cracks, the possibility that individuals may choose awareness over compliance, conscience over spectacle, the labels, the outrage, the carefully maintained divisions. All of it, absolutely all of it relies on widespread submission. Once that submission falters, the entire architecture of control becomes vulnerable. The danger for the ruling class is not opposition that mirrors the status quo, but a single actor stepping beyond the script, refusing to obey, and inviting the public to question the illusions they've been fed. And this is an opportunity we can all share in. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene, we can all resign from whatever role we're supposed to be playing. I've resigned from mine many times. Many times I've been here before. Now, who do we belong to? We belong to a source of power way beyond their malleable systems of total control. We can be direct agents to the principle of God, rather than controlled by the ever-changing vicissitudes of a culture that has no moral moorings. This is the ominous question the moment poses. If ideological labels no longer map to reality, if political actors can flip between fascist and communist accusations at will, and if even the most extreme partisans can apologize and disengage, then who truly controls the narrative? The warning's clear. Society teeters between conditioning and consciousness, and those who step outside the controlled story threaten a system built on obedience, hypocrisy, and the illusion of choice. Greene's resignation is not merely a personal recalibration, it's a tremor in the foundations of managed reality, a hint that the cage might one day be opened, and that the public might glimpse the mechanisms that have long shaped their perceptions and constrained their minds. Or to use a metaphor from classic Greek literature and philosophy, we are turning at last and facing the light, no longer content to look at the silhouettes and shadows cast by a machine of total control. The reality of God is accessible to all of us, and more people are awakening to that truth. At least that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat.
A who's who of the nation's political elite gathered for Dick Cheney's funeral. Former Presidents George W. Bush and Joe Biden with their First Ladies Laura and Dr. Jill. And former Vice Presidents Al Gore, Dan Quayle, Kamala Harris, and Mike Pence.
Fitting, in a way, that a funeral is the venue for dropping the bullshit, because the bullshit is not just the political system, it's the BS we all engage in when we prefer a persona over reality. Indeed, the very word persona, the etymology of the word personality, suggests and indeed means a mask. Only temporarily is this your identity. Your true identity is in God. If you ever had a moment of peace, if you ever had a moment of prayer, then you might experience that as I have done. You might experience the truth that I have been granted. You have to attend, in a sense, your own funeral, the funeral of Russell Brand, the funeral of whoever you are, to awaken to the truth within you. For surely you will be attending those funerals. Not your own, of course. You'll be in a box for that. But hopefully one day, by the glory of God and through the sacrifice of Christ, you may be resurrected. Certainly what awaits you is the death of everyone you love. We all know that, and yet we keep it at arm's length. And perhaps the death of your dreams, the death of your beliefs, the death of your artificial stimulants that hold you together and make you a participant in this illusion. Will you resign? Can you resign? Let's have a look at some of the other shifting sands.
I think he's terrible. He's a communist. The last thing we need is a communist. I said there will never be socialism in the United States. Now we have a communist. So I think he's said.
I mean, isn't it irrelevant? Can the mayor of New York meaningfully create a socialist communist state within New York? What power does he have? What levers does he have access to? The simple truth is this. Until we recognize the incredible potential of this very technology, we're gonna rattle around in these ridiculous paradoxes and this stupid mudslinging. What you could have is empowered city-states made up of boroughs, each of those boroughs run by councils, representative democracy reduced to the minimum possible level, and direct democracy increased to the maximum possible level. That would mean participatory democracies and referenda in a city like New York or London. If I were the mayor of London, that's exactly how I'd run it. Referenda. I would tell people plainly, this is what the mayor of London can do. The mayor of London is in control of transport, to a degree the Metropolitan Police Force, and to a degree property planning. This is what I suggest, and here are our referenda. We're going to vote on all of these, and we are going to use the results of these referenda to direct policy. You might be wrong, but you'll be wrong yourself. We'll do our best to persuade you of our agenda, but we will accept that maybe you will not want to pursue that agenda. That can be the new politics that replaces this senseless, juvenile, yet somehow senile mudslinging politics. How long do you want to engage in it? It doesn't matter if you're left or right, because as we've told you, them labels don't mean anything anymore. You start using N-word, racist, rapist, all these words just tossed around as weapons to disable, smear, or impede any relevant voices. Let me know what you think about that in the comments and chat.
And I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with him, watching him, because he has to come right to this building to get his money. And don't worry, he's not going to run away with anything. I think he's frankly, I've heard he's a total nut job. I think the people in New York are crazy. As they go this route, I think they're crazy. We will have a communist for the first time, really, a pure, true communist. He wants to operate the grocery stores, the department stores. What about the people that are there? I think it's crazy.
And Mamdani says of him.
Clarify your answer to Stephen Nelson.
Mamdani, you might want to review the genital clutch.
Stephen Nelson, he asked about your comment calling the president a fascist, and your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views.
We can't stay on YouTube. We're off. See you later.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about... That's okay. You can just say
okay.
Okay.
It's interesting, isn't it? Even Trump, with all of his robustness and all of his bellicosity and all of his personal groundedness and interpersonal authority, still deploys very unusual body language when dealing with something that's socially awkward. That's okay.
That's okay. You can just say
okay. It's very un-Trump, that wrist, isn't it? And look at our man